You are warmly welcome to yet another session of the Voice of Reformation. The Voice of Reformation is a platform where we seek to charter a new paradigm as far as the conversation and discourses on national transformation is concerned. It is brought to you by the New African Concept, which happens to be a movement committed to championing the cause of African Renaissance and holistic national transformation. We strongly believe that Ghana is going to make it regardless of the prevailing circumstances now. It is going to be possible, and it will not be done by one person or one institution. It will take the collaborative effort of all of us. With this segment, we've dedicated it to what we have called the School of Values. The School of Values. We have already established that the main problem of Ghana is not necessarily the leadership crisis, which we already know that it is, a challenge, but rather it is because of the broken values. Broken values equals broken nations. Repaired values equals repaired nations, and quality values will equal quality nations. And that is why we are passionate on the subject of values. Okay, so today we also have another value to talk about, and this is a very precious value, which is shall I say, is there already, but is not really understood and is not really expressed, which is what we call freedom and justice. Anyone who have seen our coat of arms will see that it is written down there as freedom and justice. So just as you go to an office and then you see on the wall maybe vision statement, mission statement, and then down there you see core values, but when you take a critical look at the people or how they go about their things, you realize that they've written excellence, teamwork, and then all dedication, customer care. But when you go through or when you experience their services, you realize that no, it is far-fetched. That is the same trauma that we are experiencing as a people. Yes, we have it written down in our constitution, and we have it emboldened in our coat of arms, freedom and justice. But the question is, are we really free? And then, is there really justice in the land? I don't think you need statistics to back what we are saying. Let's start with the subject of freedom. 1957 State March happened to be a Wednesday, where we had our own Kwame Nkrumah of blessed memory, the first president of this beloved country, as he said that this day a new African has been born, and that we want to prove to the world that when the black man is given the opportunity, he can also be in control, or he can provide things for himself. 65 years down the line, we ask the question, are we really free? I guess we did not understand the concept of freedom from its inception. Let me make this clarification. There's a difference between freedom and deliverance. Deliverance is the absence the absence of maybe the chains. I always use this quick analogy for us to get it very well. Imagine I am in the prison house, and then I'm locked up in a cell, in a prison cell, and then I have chains on my hands and legs. What it means is that I am a slave. I am imprisoned. Then comes maybe the soldier or maybe any rescuer, and then takes off the chains from my hands and legs. The question is that I have been delivered, but I am not free. Why? Because I am still in the prison house. Freedom is when I take the pains by dint of hard work and responsibility to walk out of the prison cells into the land of the free. That is what makes us free. So the question again, are we free? It is a no-no. We may have been delivered. We may have had independence. What we had I mean, from the days of Kwame Nkrumah was independence, which was technically deliverance. Deliverance from the yoke of long-standing colonialism, which which followed after slavery and then all. But the question is, are we free? No. How can you be free when your national budget is never complete without foreign aid? How can you be free when you have so much arable lands, but you have to import literally all kinds of foods, including even toothpick? How can you be free when you have, Western institutions and then all pulling all kinds of unnecessary strings on you? How can you be free when you have your youthful population being largely unemployed and they are dependent on scamming and then doing things like that? How can you be free in such an environment? The truth of the matter, though painful, is that we are far from freedom. Though we might have gained independence, which is, the same as deliverance, but we are not free. So whenever we see freedom and justice, we are actually seeing what our fathers had been yearning, and to date we are not free. We are not free because we feel, the average black man or the average Ghanaian feels that it is by procuring for himself the things or material gains that makes him or her relevant. How can we be free when we have no sense of identity? We have identity crisis. So if we think that by, our ladies think that by presenting themselves like the white lady, by dressing like the white lady, most especially by toning her skin or by bleaching her skin to be like the white, that is what makes her valuable. It is time for us to get back to the drawing board. This is freedom. Freedom comes by responsibility. Freedom comes by responsibility. What we have had was independence. We are yet to walk into the land of the freedom. But for us to go into freedom, then it must be on account of responsibility. So I ask you a personal question. Will you say you are a responsible person? If you are a father, will you say you are a responsible father? Are you a responsible teacher? Are you a responsible president? Are you a responsible pastor? These are the questions. We have corporate irresponsibility, and we cannot be talking about freedom. Then comes the place of justice. And I think you also don't need statistics to know that there is no justice here. Our law, for there to be justice, there must be truth, there must be law, there must be order. Justice does not occur in a vacuum. It rides on the wheels of truthfulness, law, and order. And there is no truth in the system. Our laws, though they are there, but they are not functional. And then there is no trustworthiness. So our judges have been compromised. So much so that you cannot rely on our judges to give you sound judgment, because at the end of the day, you are anticipating a form of manipulation behind the scenes. In Ghana here, if you don't have money, or if you are not connected or well linked to a person of authority, or perhaps somebody in politics or a high religious figure, then you are going to struggle unnecessarily. Think of the many hundreds and thousands of our fellow brethren in the prison house, that whose cases have not been even determined. There are some that were taken to remand for 2 weeks. By the time they realized, they were taken to the prison cells. And some have been there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. There is no justice in the land. And because there is no justice in the land, it leads to people taking the law into their own hands. To date, we suffer with what we call jungle justice. Jungle justice, which is so brute and so crude for you to think that people in the 21st century can even rehearse that, thought of the jungle justice. What I mean by jungle justice is, for instance, we catch a thief and then we kill the person. We use blocks, we use, maybe tie, and then we set the person ablaze for maybe stealing a plantain or doing anything of that sort. Taking the law into our hands. Is it good? No, it is very inhumane to do that. But to an extent, you find that the reason they give is that this guy is an armed robber. This guy is a thief. He was trying, we caught him red-handed. The ideal thing is to hand him over to the police so that the law will take its course. But they are well aware that giving him to the police, by the time you realize within a day or two, this same guy will be walking around because the person will pay his way through. So, because there is no justice in the land, as a result of non-functional law and order, and there is no truth, it leads to chaos. Everybody takes the law into his hands. So, the mindset is that you don't have to rely on these people. The best thing is that do the best you can for yourself, because the law court, they are going to be compromised. They are going to pay their way through. If you have an issue with a rich man, forget about it. He will pay his way through. Fellow Ghanaians, as our lovely president usually puts it, it is time for us to, take things very seriously. We cannot be talking about national development. We cannot be talking about national transformation. Whereas the conclusion I always give to things is that Ghana, we are not having the kind of values that brings about holistic national transformation. And the reason why we are passionate about this subject of school of values is that until we take the pains to reconstruct our cultural DNA and cut these things very deep into ourselves, then we are not going anywhere. This has been the value of freedom and justice. There can only be freedom when everybody takes to personal and corporate responsibility. And there can only be justice when there is truth, there is law, and there is order. This has been the anticipation of our forebears. Unfortunately, they did not have the opportunity to taste it. But the good news is that if you and I will take the pains to commit to these things we are talking about, then freedom and justice wouldn't only be passively written on our coat of arms, but it will be felt and experienced. There will be true freedom in the land, and then there will be true justice in the land. For any support system, we are very much available. You can reach to us any day, anytime. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to understand your perspectives. You are not bound to agree with us on everything. There must be counter perspectives. We can also help us to reshape, whatever we are doing. So what we are saying is that just like our pages on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And then don't forget to share. Let others join in this wholesome conversation. We will come your way once again.